everybody fine. You guys hearing me fine? I got new headphones.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Mazel.
They're not necessarily better. They're just new. Stop working.
All right, I'm putting my instrument down.
Oh, please don't. You should play your instrument. Anytime we say something stupid, you should play something.
I can go like...
Yes.
I'll make it a little lower and a little more effect.
Let's say if you could play the Price is Right, like the bum 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 bam.
If you want to give me 2 minutes to learn it, I need to pull it up. Hold on.
Let's start. We got to get started.
All right, we're going to get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 53 of the Duke Basketball Report podcast. It has been quite a while. We are recording this on Sunday, June 26th. It's been a couple months, but we're back to give you a recap of the NBA draft, the playoffs, and we're looking forward to the Olympics and the Blue Devils that are involved in all of this. But first, I'm Donald Wine. In case you didn't remember me, I am Blazing DW on the DBR forums. Today, I get to welcome back my partners in this podcast venture. First, in Denver, we have Sam Klein, a.k.a. Dev11. Sam, what's up, man?
It's so good to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you, too.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a couple months.
I was trying to look back at like the last time we recorded and like what was the state of Duke basketball then, and it's like a totally different world.
Yeah, it's kind of relaxing.
Yeah, things are good over here. I'm doing well. Happy to be back and talking to you guys. So it's nice to hear from you. And since we last spoke, I feel like every week I see Donald on TV at a different soccer game in a new city.
Yeah, well, I try to get around, and it's been a crazy month. But we're going to get into that once I bring in the other guy that they call Jason Evans on the DBR.
The other guy
from Atlanta, Jason. Welcome back, man. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going great. I know we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been up to. I just got back from 2 weeks in Italy with my family. This is what makes summers wonderful. Family vacations, lots and lots and lots of fun. But I missed you guys. It has been quite a while, and there are new additions to the Duke roster since we last spoke about it.
Definitely. Before we dive into all that, we're kind of getting into it a little bit. It's been a couple months since we last had a podcast. I believe it was just after the national championship, which we are very glad that Villanova won and not that other team that was playing. So we should probably tell the listeners what we have been up to lately. So Sam, I'll start with you. What's been new in Denver? What have you been? What kind of trouble have you been getting into?
I've been sitting at home and playing a lot of mandolin.
Play a few chords. Play something.
I'm still trying to get the Devil with the Blue Dress to sound as good as it possibly can. So it's getting better.
That's working. That is working, baby.
No, that is like we need to compare. We need to compare what it was like before and what it's like now, because that is a serious improvement.
I don't remember where I saw it. I came across a YouTube video or something. It might have been on Facebook of like a girl taking violin lessons, and it was like her month by month progression of like how she sounded on the violin. In the first month, it's like all horrible, and you couldn't possibly listen to her. And then like a year later, she's like playing the violin like a champ. So I'm trying to follow her lead. But yeah, it's coming along. This morning I was working on some voicing for the Duke alma mater, which I think I tried teaching myself very early on in my mandolin learning process. So that's coming along, but I don't really want to show it off until I know that it's good. Kind of a perfectionist like that. But I went to a couple of music festivals. I got to take some mandolin lessons from some famous mandolin players. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, and I don't really need to get into all that here, but if you want to send me messages on the Duke Basketball Report forum, I'm happy to tell you all about it because it's been a lot of fun. But other than that, yeah, I don't know, just living and working and waiting to hear back from you guys about when we were going to record again.
Yeah, there was a couple times where we were all talking and we were very close to recording something because a big event was about to happen, but when it actually did happen, it never really transpired that we were able to put anything together. And it wasn't that we weren't trying.
It was right around when Marquise Bolden committed.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, we got to get an episode, but we weren't all like able to get on, and it would have been like kind of it wouldn't have been a great effort on our part.
Hey, wait.
So
Let's tell the truth. Let's tell the truth here. When JJ Redick and then John Scheyer both launched podcasts.
Listen, guys, you're already like John Scheyer. I understand that your basketball career like didn't end up the way that you wanted it to, and you had to like just end up being an assistant coach at Duke, like and probably making a lot more money than I do, despite having like a way easier major. And he's gonna
be a head coach someday. He's gonna be a head coach at a very young age.
And he only became an assistant last year, right? It was just it was just when Wojo left.
Yeah.
And since then, like all the like websites and stuff they talk about, like Jeff Capel's such a great associate head coach, but like John Scheyer is killing it on the recruiting trail. And I'm just like, he is going to be a head coach, and it's not going to it won't take as long for him as it did for Collins and Wojo. I don't think.
But he's stealing our aura. He's stealing our spot.
Right. So in light of that, it's like, all right, you're doing really well. He's got a great gig. Even Nolan Smith now is working as some sort of assistant for I don't exactly know how
he's a special assistant, I believe is
whatever that means. It means he gets to hang around and be a part of the program and et cetera, et cetera. But like those guys already got a good gig going on, and we're just like the schmucks on the internet. Like give us our little corner here. But no, they had to like JJ is fine because JJ is like he's like more established and whatever. I guess this is like his way to transition from being a player into being a part of the media. Like John Scheyer doesn't need a podcast. He's busy like being an assistant coach for the basketball team. So I don't want to say we have a beef with them, but I'd like to think we have a beef with them.
You know what? Sometimes competition is good. It means we get to step up our game, and they have to step up theirs.
Well, wait. We either step up our game or we take a 2-month break.
Yeah, or we just.
We needed to after 53 episodes. We needed to recharge our batteries. That's what it was.
The good thing is that at least Shirer's show. It sounds like Shirer's is just like the Duke basketball like summer podcast. Like once the season starts, they're not going to be doing this anymore.
Right. Thank God.
Have you guys listened to it yet?
I have not. No.
Not yet.
I haven't either. Good.
It's not for lack of trying. There's just been a lot of stuff going on. So.
No, I'd like to think that we're like standing strong to our own values and not giving in to those guys.
Yeah.
Even though that's who we talk about on this show.
It's not competition. It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is different. It's not like there are other DBR goofs who are doing their own show.
And let's be honest, in terms of being an insider, having real insight into the program, being able to talk about the college basketball world and the Duke program in a really intelligent kind of way, us competing with John Scheyer is a little bit like us. It's a little bit like us competing with John Scheyer on the basketball court.
Right. And occasionally, I mean, you guys probably get a little bit of this, but occasionally people will contact me because they know about this show. And they'll be like, what do you think about, what's going to happen with such and such? Or like, do you know anything about, who's committing and these things? And I'm like, dude, I don't know that stuff. Like, I just get on with the guys and talk about it. I just like being able to talk about it. And for the same way that like I listen to podcasts from people who are fans of anything. It's just cool to talk about and cool to listen to. But
Sam, I'm gonna have to edit this part out. I don't want anyone to know that we're not experts.
We're not experts.
Spoiler alert! Thanks for giving it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're just really great fans.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Let's get to something real.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's dive into the NBA stuff. Let's start with the NBA draft. The NBA draft took place this past Thursday, and it was highlighted by Brandon Ingram going number 2 to the Lakers. In my opinion, thank God he didn't go to the Sixers. Trust the process, hashtag. Marshall Plumlee went to the Knicks. He signed with their summer league team. He wasn't drafted, but all reports are that he has a really good shot at doing well and hopefully earning a training camp invite, not necessarily to the Knicks, but somebody when the summer league starts.
Hold on. Let me talk about Marshall for a second because I've done a little bit of digging on this. The reports are, and we don't know for certain, but the reports are that Marshall signed a guaranteed contract with the Knicks. And to be clear, it's not a guaranteed NBA salary, but the guarantee is that he will at least get a training camp invitation and that he will be guaranteed a spot on their D-League team.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, for an undrafted NBA free agent, that's a really that shows that the Knicks saw something they really liked in MP3. And the Knicks are a great spot for him to land. They have a lot of open roster spots right now. They only have 5 guys under contract. I mean, that's kind of amazing. In the NBA, usually a team will have 10 or 11 guys under the contract, and they're really only looking to, bring in 1 or 2 more. The Knicks only have 5 guys under contract. The Knicks did not draft a single player. They had no picks in the draft, and they didn't try and buy a pick or trade for a pick or anything like that. So the Knicks, it's those 5 guys.
Derrick Rose instead.
Yeah. Well, Derrick Rose is one of the 5 guys they have under contract. And it for sure the Knicks are going to be a heavy player in NBA free agency. They're not going to try and fill up the roster with, the next 7 guys they sign are not going to all be undrafted free agents. Believe me, it's going to be a lot of former NBA, players who are NBA free agents, who they expect to be significant players for them. And they've always talked like they want to bring Lance Thomas is one of their free agents. They've talked like they want to bring Lance Thomas back. But I think Plumlee's in a great spot with them. They don't have any centers under contract. And he's clearly an NBA center. And Phil Jackson has always shown a little bit of a propensity for liking the sort of big hulking center kind of player. Luke Longley was one of those. He's had a lot of those when he was winning titles with Chicago Bulls. So yeah, Bill Wennington, exactly. So I think Plumlee's got a chance, and at least he'll be in the D League. I think. They've guaranteed him that. And I want to let me wrap up my thing about Plumlee really quick. So there's a Knicks blog that I was reading that had this to say about Plumlee that I thought was just hysterical. They said Plumlee is a 7'1" center, which is great size, but he has a shockingly short 6'8.5" wingspan. And then they said that's almost unprecedented. I guess they don't know about him being a T-Rex.
Right.
Yeah, his measurables are like more than opposite of what Brandon Ingram's are.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. You're usually looking for guys whose wingspan is greater than their height, and Plumlee is 4 inches less than his height.
And I think that like average, like notionally average human shape is that your wingspan is slightly longer than your height. Like
Yes, just very slightly.
Right. So for a 7'1" person, his wingspan should be, if he was normal, for a normal 7'1" person, like 7'3" or 7'4" or something.
Yeah.
And it's 6'8".
But anyway, I really think Plumlee's in a good spot there on the Knicks. I mean, he was never going to be a guy who was certain to make the NBA. But I also think, by the way, I think it'll help him that both of his brothers have sort of exceeded expectations and have shown themselves to be very valuable, good contributing players on NBA teams. Most people will feel, I think, NBA executives will feel, okay, well, if the brothers were able to do it, MP3, certainly has a shot. Although he's not as athletically gifted as Miles and Marshall. Miles and Mason.
I was going to say that in particular, Miles' success really helps Marshall because I think they were, similarly ranked in recruiting, like they were like 50 to 60-ish in recruiting. And also, Marshall maybe didn't move along quite as fast as Miles did, like in his progression at Duke, but by the end of it was about as productive, like similar production, if not better production than what Miles had.
Yeah.
And like you said, the measurables aren't quite what his brothers are. But as far as showing the ability to learn new things and increase his role every year, especially his senior year, you got to feel good about his ability, at least to work hard enough to have a shot. And I think it's, so you said that the Knicks gave him a guaranteed spot on a D-League team. Is that right?
That's what I've read. That's my understanding.
Okay. So does that mean that he doesn't get to play on anybody else's summer league teams? Because I know that the undrafted
Correct.
guys will play on different summer league. Okay.
My understanding, again, from what I've read, and look, none of this stuff is official yet. No one can announce anything in the NBA until like July 1st or something like that. I forget. Right. There's some date.
There's a moratorium until like July 8th, I believe.
For free agents.
Even though everyone agrees to all these things before that date. But my understanding is that they have told him he will be on their summer team. He is guaranteed to have a training camp invitation, and that they have guaranteed him that he will be on at least their D-League team. They haven't guaranteed him an NBA salary, but he's got a guaranteed at least D-League salary, and a guarantee that they're going to take a long, hard look at him. So that's great for him.
Yeah, and as you say, that they have a lot of roster spots, so kind of anything can happen.
Oh
with
God,
that
yeah.
team. And also, when you're playing in summer league, part of it is you're trying to make the team that you're on, but the other part is just that you're working hard and everybody else, all the other teams are around, so they're also looking at you. And the guys who, like the way that it seems like summer league works, the guys who deserve to get shots will get shots. It's not like you're just going to get stashed in the D League for years, the way that you might like in baseball. Like if you have proven your worth on the basketball court, someone's gonna find a place for you on an NBA roster. That's a kid.
Yeah, you're right. It is nothing like baseball where they stash guys.
Right.
In basketball, you're either good enough and they think you can make it, or you're not, and they move on to the next guy.
And minus his wingspan, Marshall has every advantage working for him as far as making a team goes. So yeah,
Hey, let's talk about Ingram.
Sure, I'm psyched for Ingram, man. I think that leading up to the draft, there was a lot of chatter that the Sixers, like everyone knew that the Sixers were going to take Simmons, but at the same time, it was like, man, why don't the Sixers just take Ingram? Because like they've already got way too many post players. They're going to have to trade one of them now, and they're going to be trading. Like everyone knows that they're going to be trading from a position of we have to trade one of these guys. So the Sixers take Simmons, and then the Lakers, an organization that is primed to, like, I feel like they're primed to come back up now, right? They dumped Kobe Bryant's contract. They dumped Kobe Bryant's ineffective play late in his career, and now they've got all these young pieces and a lot of money to work with, and an organization that at least traditionally is very good at attracting star players to come and play for them. So Ingram is, I would hope that Ingram is not expected to be the star in Los Angeles from his rookie season. And he's still pretty young. I think he's still 18. He's not going to turn 19 until the fall. So you got to figure that Los Angeles is attracting at least one major free agent to come and play with him and kind of show him the ropes. But I'm very excited for Los Angeles to take him, except for the fact, and I was thinking about this yesterday, that, I don't know about you guys. I think you're kind of in the same boat that I am, that you root for Duke basketball, which is its own, it's like a powerhouse, like bandwagon-y type program. Although you both, like I did, you both went to Duke. So there's that kind of background to it. But other than that, I don't think either of you roots for any of the like juggernaut famous teams in any other sports.
No.
And so it's a bummer that
in soccer I do, but that's a different conversation.
That's true. And I don't want to get into my conversation about how Americans just arbitrarily pick good soccer teams to root for, but that's fine. That's fine. Donald, you do whatever you want. But as far as like the big four American sports go and like the major college sports, it's a bummer that Ingram, who may end up being Duke's best NBA player like in a couple years, ends up on like the most famous franchise that everybody either loves or hates. So it means that I have to care about the Lakers, but not in like any serious way, just in rooting for Duke players. But in general, I'm excited for Ingram. I think he landed in a great spot. I think he has a good organization, and I think that they have room to do a lot of interesting things to make that team competitive very quickly.
Yeah, I think he's going to be really good, because the one thing that I thought separated him from Ben Simmons is, well, there's a couple things. One, he has the game that when people look at him, and this is not like, obviously we look at it from a different lens, but outside of Duke circles, a lot of people were initially saying, okay, this is remind me a lot of Kevin Durant when he was a freshman at Texas. And not necessarily the trajectory, but just the fact of his overall game. He's very good at everything. But he also has room to improve, and that's almost the scary thing, is that he has the potential to get even better because he's so young and he's very quick to learn. Even at Duke, he started out slow, but there was a point where he got it, and once he got it, he took off and became the Brandon Ingram that was very indispensable for us down the stretch. And I think with the Lakers, I think it's a much better situation than being in Philly. Philly was trying to, early Thursday was trying to trade either Nerlens Noel or Jello Okafor to try and get the number 3 pick because they wanted to get Buddy Hield, I believe. And I don't think they didn't end up getting the number 3 pick. They just settled for Simmons. But again, they're taking a player, and now they have basically, if you combine him with Okafor, with Noel, with Embiid, who hasn't played a game, with Jokic, who hasn't played a game, they have like 5 rookies who all play the same position. And
except hold on. They're going to play Ben Simmons at point guard. All the NBA experts say if you drafted Ben Simmons to be a forward, you made a mistake drafting him number 1. If you drafted him to be a point guard, then that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, but he's not going to be initially a good point guard because I get in LSU he was the man and he was, the games I saw he was bringing the ball up, but he wasn't trying to, distribute the ball. He was trying to, break people down off the dribble, which I guess is what you kind of do in the NBA. But there's still some point guards in the league that look to get others open and look to distribute first. And so it may be more that he's a point forward than a point guard. Because he's not lining up against Kyrie. Kyrie would those type of guards, Russell Westbrook type of guards, are going to destroy him every night. Because he's not that quick on defense. But I think he's lining up against Melo or something like that. His court vision is excellent. I agree with you there.
He's going to be able to see over those guys in a way that's going to give him a real advantage. I mean, I think it's easy after the season that Ben Simmons had at LSU to sort of write him off. And I don't know, I'm not going to say for certain that Ingram was the better pick. I do know, a lot of the reports are that the Lakers wanted Ingram over Simmons, that if for some reason Ingram had gone number 1, the Lakers would have been upset, that they really thought Ingram was the better fit for what they're going to try and put together. But I think Ben Simmons, you don't see passing like that very often. And we're seeing more and more of teams using good ball handling, good court vision, power forwards as essentially their point guards. I mean,
that's what LeBron James does and has done for years.
LeBron James does that. Yeah, there's a reason Kyrie Irving only averages less than 4 assists a game. That's because LeBron James is doing most of the distributing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Right. To be honest, the Golden State Warriors are starting to use Draymond Green in that role more and more and more. Speaking of Golden State, by the way, really quick, I think one of the things that I like about the situation that Brandon Ingram's getting into is the new Lakers coach is Luke Walton, and he's going to try and install a Golden State Warriors kind of offense in LA for the Lakers. And I think Ingram, with his ability to go outside, he has great touch from the outside, and use his length on the perimeter. I think that's a really good situation for him, a very, very good situation for him. And I'll say right now, I think that Brandon Ingram's probably going to be the NBA Rookie of the Year. I think Ben Simmons will struggle to adjust in Philadelphia, struggle to play point guard a little bit, and Brandon Ingram's going to be the NBA Rookie of the Year. Did I say Player of the Year? I meant Rookie of the Year. Yeah,
but I agree with you there. I think the learning curve is going to be much higher for Simmons in Philly because and this is not having to do with his talent, but I don't think Philly really knows what they are yet because they really are just getting these pieces and then trying to see which ones will fit together. Whereas I feel like with the Lakers, and I'm a Pistons fan, I grew up hating the Lakers. I do not like the Lakers, but I love the fact that Ingram will fit in much better there. And I think they have a lot of young talent that can gel together, and they have the opportunity to get a couple of key free agents with this huge cap number that's going to be coming up this summer. So I think he stands poised to have a very, very good year because of the situation he's in. I think if he was in Philadelphia, I think the situation would have been much different.
Well, one of the things the Lakers loved about him, and then we should move on to some other draft notes, unless you guys have something else. One of the things the Lakers loved about Ingram was they talked about how much they loved his maturity. For a very, very young guy, it matters to the Lakers that he's someone who comports himself really well on and off the floor. He's someone who's dedicated to being good, to making his teammates better. All the right kind of things you want in a teammate are the things that Brandon Ingram represents. And it really matters to the Lakers because they had some real problems with D'Angelo Russell last year. I don't know if LA would necessarily admit it, but there are a lot of folks who think that they made a mistake taking D'Angelo Russell ahead of Jahlil Okafor, even though Okafor has showed some real defensive struggles in the NBA and didn't exactly have the greatest season ever for the 76ers last year as a rookie. He was good.
And also had his maturity problems, let's be fair.
Definitely had his own maturity problems, although his maturity problems were manifest off the court, dealing with fans and the such, whereas D'Angelo Russell's maturity problems.
Right.
Yes.
He gets
Yes.
division with speed limits.
D'Angelo Russell's problems were dealing with his teammates, and that's a much bigger issue for an NBA franchise when you have a guy that loses the locker room the way D'Angelo Russell did, where his teammates there are members of the LA Lakers that hate D'Angelo Russell, that do not like him at all. And we're not going to get into the whole scandal and everything else that you can Google it, people, about what D'Angelo Russell did to one of his teammates in terms of ratting the guy out. But it was bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And, in the NBA, you got to get along with your teammates. That's priority A,
there was
number
talk
one.
of finding out how to get rid of him before the end of last season. That's how bad it was at one point.
Yeah.
But the one note that I
what else are we doing? Hey, Donald, you got to be thrilled. Your Pistons. How did they get Henry Ellenson? Was it 18 or something like that?
Yeah, he fell to 18. I'm not sure how quite it happened. And it's somebody that really could fit well next to Andre Drummond in our lineup. I think is going to be pretty cool there. And I'm also very excited in the second round. We got Michael Benajay, our former Dukie that graduated from Syracuse. I think he's going to be the perfect fit because he brings something that we did not have last year, and that's 3-point shooting and perimeter defense. I think he does both those things fairly well. When he was on last year, there are times even against us where he would torch us from downtown, and he has the ability to do that in the league, I think. So I think that was a really good pick. So overall, I think the Pistons had a really, really good draft. Getting Ellenson and getting Benajay, I think they're two key players that can fill holes that we have. And now we can go after a couple of guys in free agency and kind of solidify this team that, for the first time in 7 years actually, made the playoffs, and we can go from there.
I told you guys how disappointed I was that the Atlanta Hawks went with Taurean Prince from Baylor in the lottery. I don't understand that. He was a guy who many folks forecast going in the 20s, if not the 30s, maybe even in the second round. And the Hawks went ahead and drafted him in the lottery. Just I don't even begin to understand it, but I'm not going to get into that because we're not going to analyze every draft pick. It's just
his interview game is really tight though. So
yes, he had the very very funny interview. Yeah, he had the funny interview after Baylor got knocked out by Yale. But one thing I did want to mention: did you guys see that Cat Barber did not get drafted?
I saw that, and
second year in a row that an NC State player has left early, been an overproducer, and hasn't gotten drafted.
I'll tell you something. I don't understand how Cat Barber didn't get drafted because, the Brooklyn Nets took Marcus Page toward the end of the second round. I'm sorry, but was there any comparison in Marcus Page and Cat Barber last year in college? How can you possibly think that Marcus Page, and I don't want to pick on Marcus Page. There are other guys who were drafted who I say Cat Barber was about as unstoppable as anyone in college basketball was last year. And
the year before that.
I don't get it. And lightning quick, I don't understand how he could go undrafted. I would have been, if my team was drafting early and they'd taken Cat Barber, I would have been thrilled with that pick. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. A good defender, lightning fast, unbelievably quick. That's why his nickname is Cat. And a guy whose shot improved, was a great free throw shooter. And all the advanced analytics guys say, guys who shoot free throws really well, it tends to translate into eventually becoming great 3-point shooters in the NBA. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. But I'm sure Cat Barber's going to catch on with someone and be a good NBA player. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah, but I don't think this is the last we've heard of Cat Barber. I think he gets in somewhere because a guy like that is a player that's not going to sit there and say, "Oh, I didn't get drafted." Well, that's that. I think we'll see.
Yeah, he's signed with New Orleans for the summer league. He's gonna play for the New Orleans Pelicans in the summer league. But
yeah, he's gonna get some looks.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just might be a dude who doesn't play on as high a profile a college team, and so maybe there was just like a lack of exposure.
Come on, NC State. Wait. We're talking about NC State here.
Yeah, but NC State's not. I guess they're not playing as many of those big games as Duke and UNC are. They're playing against those teams, and he gets his opportunities to show off. But you got to figure that there's some bias towards taking the the guys from the bigger name schools, and that those things sort themselves out when you get to see him playing against all those dudes in summer league. Again, like summer league will sort this out, and I don't think there's a way that Cat Barber's not making an NBA team this year.
Agreed.
Good. I'm glad you guys agree with me. Okay.
All right, let's move on. Let's briefly touch on the NBA Finals. Kyrie Irving joined two players, I believe. I don't think there's a third. Danny Ferry and Shane Battier as Duke players who have won an NBA title, and he did it with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They came back from down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors and ended up winning in Game 7 at Golden State, which was kind of a shock to many. And to some, it actually wasn't a shock. But, guys, thoughts on Kyrie getting that coveted trophy, getting that ring?
Wow. Well, I mean, just, you mentioned the other two guys who've done it, Shane Battier and Danny Ferry. Kyrie's role was completely different from the roles that they played. Ferry really didn't play very much for San Antonio. Battier was, a classic 3-and-D guy who was a sub for Miami. He wasn't someone who was, an integral part of what Miami was doing. Kyrie Irving was the best offensive player in the NBA Finals. I know LeBron James did things better than Kyrie did, a lot of other things, especially in terms of defense, in terms of distributing and the such. But Kyrie was the offensive stud, and it was his crazy three-point shot that won the title. It was a tie ball game with a minute left, and he drained a three with the shot clock running down and Steph Curry's hand in his face. He had an incredible finals. Lost amid every. So I did some statistics because you guys know me. I love my stats. Lost amid all the talk about what a great finals Kyrie had. A few key stats stuck out for me. He led every regular player. There are a couple guys who were 2 for 2 or 3 for 3, but he led every finals regular by hitting 94% of his free throws. Did you hear that number? 94%. And let me tell you something. The Cavs had real struggles at the free throw line, and there were a couple of these games that were very close where it mattered, and Kyrie buried his free throws, 94%. He shot the second most free throws of anyone in the NBA Finals. LeBron shot a couple more than he did. But second, and I'm not talking on Cleveland, I'm talking Cleveland and Golden State. Kyrie's second most free throws, highest free throw percentage. No one else on the Cavs hit more than 73% of their free throws, and Kyrie was hitting 94% of them. He saved them in that respect. He hit 40.5% of his threes, which was the second highest three-point percentage of any player in the finals. Who would have said with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson out there and those other guys in Golden State who could bomb away that Kyrie Irving would be one of the highest three-point shooters in the NBA Finals? And people love to criticize his D, but he was second among all players in the finals in steals. And here's a stat that is really shocking. You ready for this? Kyrie Irving was the youngest player on the Cavs roster.
That's insane.
I mean, yeah, we don't even think about that. But Kyrie is still a really, really young player in the NBA. He just turned 24 a couple months ago, back in March. And he was the second youngest player on either team. Do you guys know who's the only player on both the Cavs and the Warriors who's younger than Kyrie?
Harrison Barnes?
Harrison Barnes by about 2 months. And we're going to talk about Harrison Barnes in a little bit, but that's what I mean. Kyrie was incredible, and they were that. In the NBA they talk a lot about needing 3 stars, needing 3. Kevin Love wasn't there for Cleveland. Kyrie and LeBron were it. They were it, and props to him. His stock has gone way, way, way up.
And honestly, we're talking about LeBron a little bit, like. There's a lot of people talk bad about LeBron in any, whether it's the decision or whether it's the fact that he's always, he seemed to be quote unquote the GM, the judge, jury, and executioner for David Blatt. But he earned his place, in my opinion, at the greatest of all time discussion table for what he did during these playoffs, throughout the entire playoffs. And I know he had help with Kyrie. Kyrie was fantastic. I think LeBron. Really, like any critics that were out there that were talking bad about LeBron's game, about how he can't win the big one, or just his record in the finals, I think they need to fall back a little bit. I won't say the same thing about Cleveland. I think it was, I'm from Detroit. I'm not a big Cleveland fan, but I do enjoy the fact that they celebrated a victory. I mean, it was their first title in that city since 1964 in any sport. That is remarkable. That was a remarkable stat in itself. But the fact that they were so euphoric about it ending and to do it against a team that many people thought during the season with reason was unbeatable. I think to do it against that, to come back from down 3-1, something that no other team has ever done, and to do it in Game 7 at Golden State, I think this team is really a team that people are going to look back years on and say, this team was a lot better than everybody thought it was. And I think it's because of the fact that they were in the Eastern Conference and people kind of wrote them off as being part of the garbage Eastern Conference. But they showed through their run that they can beat anybody and that they are the best team. And I think that is something to be admired. And I think LeBron and Kyrie have a lot to do with that, if not most or all.
Hey, I'm going to let Sam jump in 1 second, but I just want to say I think that LeBron may have had it's real close to the greatest finals performance of the modern era. I mean, there are guys who, if you go back along, Wilt Chamberlain and some other guys who put up some crazy stats back in the day when stats sort of were very different than they are today. But 29.7 points per game, 11.3 rebounds per game, 8.9 assists per game, 2.6 steals, 2.3 blocks. That's absurd. I mean, that's just he was practically a triple-double in the NBA Finals against a really great defensive team. I mean, Golden State's a really good team. It's I agree with you. He is at the table, alongside Michael and I guess a couple other guys, Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, Magic, Bill Russell. Is there anyone else in the conversation? That's the conversation right there, right?
I have my Bill Simmons book of basketball here on the shelf next to me. You want to grab that and just go through the pantheon for you?
I mean, we don't need to, but I mean he's in that first tier.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean,
I agree with everything that you guys said. That about Kyrie and about LeBron. I think what was so interesting about this finals was how quickly the whole discussion turned away from Golden State's inevitable coronation to, oh my God, LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Like it seemed like it happened overnight. Like the whole season was all about Golden State and all about, is Golden State going to be able to get by San Antonio and or Oklahoma City in the playoffs? Are they gonna get the wins record and all these things? And the whole time, you never really heard much about Cleveland. There were highlights and there were occasional good games, and Cleveland got to play those teams. But it felt like, especially given that LeBron James is still on the Cavs and is still basically in his prime, that you really didn't hear about him much until they got to the finals. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, and Golden State goes up 3-1. You think the series is going to be over. Draymond is forced to sit out in Game 5, and people have opinions about that. And then all of a sudden the Cavs come back, and I think, are they the first team to come back from 3-1
yes.
In the finals,
So
yep.
First time it's ever happened.
They pulled off the by the numbers, the best comeback in the finals that's ever been, and they did it against maybe the best team that's ever been there. And it seemed like that shift happened overnight. It was so cool. And now I'm curious to see what people are saying about going into next season. Like, the Warriors aren't going to get much worse, right? They're going to lose Harrison Barnes, but they still have Curry, they still have Thompson, they still have Green, and they still have Steve Kerr running the show. So they're still going to be great.
There's talk.
And they're going after Durant.
There's a lot of talk.
Right, and they might get Kevin Durant, which maybe it won't make them Kevin Durant better. I think that the returns on adding Kevin Durant aren't as great when you're Golden State as when you're basically any other team. But you're still adding one of the 3 or 4 best players in the league on top of what really was the best team in the league this year.
That Golden State team won more games than any team in NBA history, not just in the regular season. Regular season combined with the playoffs. They set the regular season record, but then you combine their playoff wins, it's more wins than anyone else has ever won. Guys, I just realized something terrible, horrible, awful that we did. You're not going to believe this. This is terrible. I bet there are people who are screaming at their iPods, their radios.
Did we forget that Jeff Owens won an NBA title?
Dhantay Jones. We forgot about Dhantay.
Oh, no, he was on the Cavs.
D, my bad, dude. My bad. You want the
Donald. So Donald's punishment. Donald, you want to get down and do like 3 push-ups in honor of Donald?
I will do 3 push-ups.
Yes, you need it. Donald,
I need somebody to be underneath. So I was
going to say, are you in Virginia? We need a Virginia player underneath you when you do the push-ups.
I will be in Virginia this evening. I will do 3 push-ups and make sure that somebody is there to take the punishment.
All right, feel free to Vine that for us.
Congratulations, Dhantay. By the way, Dhantay Jones probably gets a title ring playing fewer games for his team than anyone in history.
He signed
Didn't
a
he just
contract right at the end of the season.
For like the last game of the season?
Yeah.
He played one game for them.
He was basically
and then he played the playoffs
for the playoffs.
Yes.
I saw a tweet from Quinn Cook after the game ended, and he was like, "Do I get a ring for playing on the D League, like in the because he played in Canton this year for the D League team?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Do I get a ring?" Nah, just kidding. Like, congrats to the Cats. That's awesome. Good point. I was going to say that we forgot that Jeff Mellons won an NBA title, but Dhantay Jones is much more important because he actually won this.
He actually was on the team. So
yeah.
So now we're up to
he
what?
Played in 15
5,
games.
6?
He played in one. He played in one regular season game, 15 playoff games for them.
Hey, it's good for that dude. And who even thought that Dhantay Jones was still like supposed to be in the league this year, right? Let alone
he's 35.
Yeah,
he's 35.
Right. Yeah, he's 35, and he was only ever like a role player defense guy, which is not the kind of guy that hangs around for 12 years in the league.
Right. Yeah. Props to him. He's made his money too.
Totally.
I mean,
good for him.
Yeah. Dude's been around for a while. He's made almost $20 million.
Tripping
$20
Kobe
million
and
NBA career.
Doing all that stuff that he does. Go Dhantay Jones.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Olympics because that is the next thing that's coming up for that involves Duke basketball. Of course, Coach K is coaching for the final time the U.S. men's national team, but they just announced the roster. I guess the roster will be announced tomorrow officially, but we have the final 12, and here they are. Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, DeMarcus Cousins, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Paul George, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy Butler, DeAndre Jordan, Harrison Barnes, and Kyrie Irving makes the 12th. He makes the roster. I think that's a pretty good roster, despite, we've been hearing all the reports of all the players who aren't going to Brazil for various reasons, whether it be injury or fears of the Zika virus down there. But I think this is a pretty good lineup. This is a pretty good roster. If this is our, quote unquote B team, this B team is going to crush a lot of people. What do you guys think about this?
So they basically only got, in my opinion, like 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they got Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson. Is Draymond one of the top 10 players in the NBA?
Yeah, like Draymond is probably borderline in that group.
Yeah, so they've got like 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA, but they probably got like 8 or 9 of the next 10.
Right.
But I will tell you who is not among the top 10, the top 20, the top 30, or even the top 40 players in the NBA, and that's Harrison Barnes. What is Harrison Barnes doing on this team? The guy has never made an NBA All-Star game. How is he on the Olympic team? So I went and I looked. Now, I know a lot of guys said no. There are a lot of very good players who said, I'm afraid of the Zika virus, or I need to rest, or I'm a little bit banged up, whatever else. And so they said, I'm not going to play. But I looked at players who did not formally say no, and they may have said no behind the scenes, but they didn't announce. There was no thing like Russell Westbrook or Steph Curry or Gordon Hayward who all said, no, I can't.
James Harden.
So James Harden. Here's my list of guys. These are only forwards. I'm only looking at forwards, really only looking at power forwards, because Harrison Barnes is mostly a power forward, especially in Coach K's scheme for that Olympic team in all likelihood. These are power forwards who did not say no, who are unquestionably, unequivocally, anyone would say, better than Harrison Barnes. Ready? Here's the list. Paul Millsap, Ryan Anderson, Kevin Love, Derek Favors, Jay Crowder, Chandler Parsons. I think Andre Iguodala is actually better than Harrison Barnes, but, we'll take him out of the equation. And then I think you can argue that Marcus and maybe even Markieff Morris are both better than Harrison Barnes. What on earth? How did Harrison Barnes make this team? I don't understand it, but there is an upside to this. The really funny thing is, Harrison Barnes is going to spend a summer with Coach K, and spending a summer with Coach K almost always elevates your game. I mean, we have seen it time and again. Guys who played for Coach K come back. I'm talking about pros, NBA players who played on a world championship team or an Olympic team. They, almost to a man, some of these guys will come back and have their best season the next year. How horrible would it be for Carolina fans if one summer of playing for Coach K elevates Harrison Barnes' game in a way that 2 years with Roy Barnes never could? That's the only sort of, good side of Harrison Barnes somehow magically making this team.
Yeah,
I just
you know what?
I just want everyone to know that Jason Evans is still not a Carolina fan. We had a long time off. We had a long time off. I know that some people maybe forget who the characters are on the show. Jason Evans, not a Carolina fan.
We're not. By the way, people, we're not going to talk about the fact that the NCAA. I can't even speak the words. I can't even say. We're not going to talk about it. We're not talking about it.
Olympic team. Donald, you had a thought that was on topic.
So I was going to say that this kind of MO where we have one guy or maybe two guys that are question marks. That's kind of Coach K's style. I mean, you remember in 2012 for the Olympics, he brought along Anthony Davis, and he was just fresh out of college. It was basically similar to the Dream Team, right? You have a bunch of pros, and you have this college guy. Of course, that ended up being a blessing in disguise because, one, Davis is really, really good. He played well on that team when he got to play, and it elevated his game to the point where he is a phenom now. The reason why he's not playing is because he's been hurt for most of the year, and he does need to rest. So this may fall into that line. Even a couple years ago, you had Andre Drummond and Mason Plumlee both made the World Cup of Basketball team, national team, and they ended up having great years the following year too. So this might be something that will really help Harrison Barnes. He's about to be a free agent. He may be leaving the Golden State Warriors and getting some big money elsewhere. So this may be a chance for him to elevate his game to another level and get to that All-Star game next year. Well, the only time will tell, but I think this lineup, I think this this roster that we have is a really good roster, and I don't think we should be worried in any sense about how this team is going to perform because I think they're going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm excited about this team. I think that there's a lot of versatility here, and even though, as you say, that we don't have a lot of those top 10 guys, even the guys in the top 20 are still going to be able to make a lot of interesting basketball. Play a lot of interesting basketball throughout this, and you got a lot of versatile dudes. I mean, we still have Kevin Durant on this team. You have guys like Kyrie Irving, and then as much as he is maligned sort of for his NBA portfolio, Carmelo Anthony is an excellent international player and is a great member of this team, sort of as the elder statesman for it. Without guys like LeBron or Kobe there. Carmelo's like the best guy to kind of be the captain of the team. So I'm excited about USA basketball. I think that they should be able to cruise through this tournament again. And this is Coach K's last year, and they're going to want to finish strong so that they can pass off to Popovich in good shape. And I think that given a lot of the guys, a lot of the best players were playing in the finals and playing late in the playoffs, and some of them are free agents and stuff. This is probably this is a pretty good roster given all of that and all the concerns about going to Brazil and whatnot. So it would obviously be cooler if guys like LeBron and Steph were able to play, but they just finished playing in the finals. And yeah, I know that Kyrie and Draymond and Clay are there, but you gotta defer to those guys if they say that they're not up for it. And LeBron especially how many consecutive finals has he played in? Like 5 or 6. So he's
I think
playing,
it's 7.
It's
6 straight finals.
7?
6 straight finals, 7 overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's had to play a lot of basketball the last few years. So I don't begrudge LeBron needing to take a break over the summer. So yeah, I think that the team will still be awesome.
And the reality is, I mean, if we don't win it all with this team, it's not like you're going to go, if only we'd had Kawhi Leonard, if only we had James Harden, if only we had Anthony Davis or Steph or LeBron or Russell Westbrook. I would have loved to see Westbrook play just because I love watching that guy play basketball.
Yeah.
Especially against people who can't athletically match up with him, which is basically pretty much everyone on the planet.
Mostly NBA.
Yeah, right. No, it's great. One thing I will mention about this team, I'm really, really happy that Paul George is on the team. I know he'd sort of been guaranteed a spot after he hurt himself so tragically a couple of years ago, and he's come back really nicely from that. I mean, I think he deserves a spot. He's a better player than Harrison Barnes. But I'm just really glad that Paul George is on this team, and I really hope that they can that they win the gold medal and that he gets that richly deserved, because he really suffered, doing the right thing and playing for his country a couple of years ago, and it's just it's a really great thing that he's on this team. So that's all I got on the Olympics.
The last thing I'll note in the Olympics, and this is separate from this team, I want to give a quick shout out to Lindsay Harding, who former Duke player. She made the Belarus national team, and you're probably wondering how she's on the Belarus national team. She's been playing abroad there when she's not playing in the WNBA, and I guess a few months ago, she was granted Belarusian citizenship, and their team qualified for the Olympics. So she will be in Rio representing Belarus. But I want to say congrats to her. She's a great friend, and she's one of the two women's players who has her number in the rafters. So I think that's a great thing. It may not be the United States, which is probably what a lot of these players dream of playing for in the Olympics, but she gets to represent her country, Belarus, in Rio, and I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think that's a great thing. So congrats to her.
Are you telling me that Lindsay Harding is not a traditional Belarusian name? It sounds very Belarusian to me.
I think she's American Belarusian.
I'm gonna call both your bluffs and ask you each to tell me one traditionally Belarusian surname.
Sabonis.
No.
Okay, you're out.
Actually, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Get out of here.
I'm just going to go with Vladimir.
All right, fine.
Wait, that wasn't it? That was the right answer?
I don't know. I
don't either.
Been there.
Ask
Jason.
DBR
He was
Forums.
just in Europe, right?
I was.
DBR Forums need to fact check us on that.
All right. Thanks, DBR Forum, everybody.
Yeah. So before we sign off, I guess we should take a brief look.
Wait. By the way, I just Googled Belarusian names. They're written in a language I can't understand.
Yeah, it's Belarusian.
It's Belarusian.
Yeah.
Belarusian.
So it's like like Natasha. That's a Belarusian name. Dmitry.
All right, we are
Not
treading.
Lindsay.
We are treading slowly into
south.
territory that I don't want to be in. So let's move on.
All right. So before we wrap up, let's take a brief look at the roster for Duke for next year. We've actually we've kept a few players. Welcome back, Emil Jefferson. Welcome back, Grayson Allen. And we've got a nice crop of talent coming in. Probably one of the best incoming freshman classes we've had in a long time that college basketball has seen in a long time. And that was capped off by getting Marcus Bolden late in April, I guess it was.
Is it Marcus?
Early May.
Marquise. I thought it was Marquise.
I think I said Marquez. It might be Marquise. That's my fault. I will definitely get it right by the time season starts. I'm in preseason form here, gentlemen. I think we have a really good lineup. I think this is a team that's going to really hit the blocks running, and these guys look like they're motivated and ready to go. I think they're on campus right now for summer classes and getting acclimated to each other. So I'm interested to see, hopefully, the people who are down there and seeing some of these pickup games, how that's shaping up so far, because I can imagine that those pickup games are going to be intense, to say the least. Yeah,
there's going to be at least one incoming McDonald's All-American just like sitting on the bench this year, and I don't think we know exactly how the rotation will shake out. Although if you visit the forums at Duke Basketball Report, you can see everyone's opinion about that. But I think the addition of Bolden is really big. Makes the front court feel a lot more solid. The whole team really feels solid. And yeah, like you said, they're all on campus now. They're all taking classes, and I think they're all also running the children's camp. So that's pretty cool. I've seen they put up some social media photos of that. So I'm very excited to see how this team comes together, and glad that they're able to get on campus early to get acclimated, because obviously last year one of the problems that may have arisen from late arrival to campus would be Derryck Thornton not being able to join the team until the fall semester started. And we know now that he's no longer with the program. I don't know if it would have prevented that if he had been there earlier, but it's cool that all the guys are there now and practicing together and learning together.
Yeah. So it's really difficult, I think, to look at recruiting classes before the kids have started playing and make definitive statements about them. But on paper, and from what you read and from what you hear, 2016, this class has a definite chance to be the best freshman class that Duke has ever had, which is really, really saying something when you look at, first of all, you look merely 2 years ago when our freshman class Tyus Stones, and Justice.
Grayson Allen was the fourth best player, and he was a second team All-American as a sophomore.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, when Okafor, Winslow, and Tyus Stones led us to an NCAA title. I mean, how can you say a freshman class could be better than that when those guys did that? But boy, it looks like this is an amazing, amazing freshman class. And when you add in the fact, I mean, like, it's insane that we bring Emil Jefferson back for a fifth year, and that Grayson Allen is back, and that Matt Jones is back. Chase Jeter seemed to be developed. It's just like Luke Kennard. Everyone forgets about Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard's only one of the best freshman scorers in Duke basketball history. And like, he's an afterthought. We're absurd. We're ridiculous. It's so great to have Bolden joining the ranks. The one little thing, if you looked at the roster, you kind of go, maybe they need a center, maybe they need a big man, or a backup big man to help out Giles and Jefferson on the inside. If Chase Jeter doesn't develop, it's like if you're grasping at straws for the one thing that we maybe needed. Oh, okay, so let's go ahead and take the number one, the best center in the high school class. It's crazy how good this class is. It's crazy how good Duke's roster for next year is. I mean, Sam, you're absolutely right. It's not just that there's going to be a McDonald's All-American, sitting on the bench, sort of hoping to get, sort of scraps of time. I think there are guys who are going to someday absolutely earn NBA paychecks who are going to struggle to find time on this Duke team. That's how good we're going to be next year. It's so exciting, really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing how Grayson Allen adjusts to point guard, because I think Grayson Allen is absolutely going to be our point guard. I'm looking forward to see how Kay, mixes all these different pieces together. He's going to have a tremendous amount of length on this team. Guys with really long arms, guys who are big. I mean, it's pretty likely that our starting lineup, there won't be anyone. There's almost no way. There's no one in our starting lineup shorter than 6'5". I mean, that's just a fact. There's no one who's going to play who's shorter than 6'5". Sorry, Frank Jackson. Frank Jackson.
I was going to say, do Frank Jackson and Grayson Allen both count as being at least 6'5"? I don't.
Grayson Allen 6'5". Grayson 6'5".
Yes. All right. Yeah. I'm fine. So was DeMarcus Nelson.
All right, so Grayson's maybe 6'4", but I mean,
all right.
it is a
6'4"-ish. I will say that.
But I mean, we're going to be big. We're going to be really long. It's going to be so much fun, and we're going to be, I mean, it's easy to talk about offense, but we're going to be a great defensive team. I mean, a really, really good defensive team. Jason Tatum, who's coming in, is considered a tremendously good high school defensive player. Harry Giles is able to protect the rim a little bit, but Emil Jefferson, Matt Jones, Grayson Allen, these guys are really, Emil Jefferson and Matt Jones are, two of the best defenders in the country. It's just very, very exciting. I can't wait for the season to start. Has it started yet? Can we get it to start? Can it be October right now, today, please?
That'd be terrific.
I got nothing else.
Yeah, I'm out.
All right. Well, I guess we can end it here.
Are we gonna do party? Let me do one quick parting shot, super quick.
Okay, party shot. We'll start with you.
Okay, so just in the past couple of weeks, we found out that Derryck Thornton is transferring to USC, and I just wanted to wish him well. It's easy to sort of rap on the guys who you talk about. Oh, they deserted us. Oh, they left us. All that other kind of stuff. I think it's really unfortunate that Derryck Thornton didn't get a chance to continue his Duke career. I think he could have been a really special player down the line. I think he would have had a significant role in the team next season. And I think he'll, he may regret sitting out and watching Duke succeed next year, but he's going to be closer to his family. He's from California. He's going to be closer to his family at USC. And I just wanted to wish Derryck Thornton well. No hard feelings, buddy. I really hope you succeed fabulously at USC and you get everything that you were hoping to find at Duke, but maybe just didn't quite find.
Well said. Well said. Sam, do you have anything?
Yeah, I don't think we have had an episode since I went to reunion back at Duke, like a while ago. So I just wanted to say that I had a great time at our 2011 class reunion. If you were a Duke alumnus and you are not going to Duke reunions, you should definitely start doing it because it's a lot of fun. So not as sentimental or deep or whatever as Jason's comment about Derryck Thornton, but I did have a good time the last time that I was in Durham, and it was nice seeing all of my classmates there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and the only parting shot I have is we're coming up on the 4th of July weekend. I hope everybody gets all the barbecue and sun and fireworks that they can possibly have, but be safe about it. Don't be Jason Pierre-Paul. Watch them from afar. Don't be setting off fireworks by yourself. But in all seriousness, everybody have a great 4th of July weekend. Enjoy everything. It's going to be hopefully very great weather for everybody. I will be in New Orleans where it's going to be like 95 and miserably humid, but it's still going to be a fun time because it is in New Orleans. So
Donald, you get around, man. You get around all over the place.
I'm a man of travel. This world needs to be explored, and I am happy to do it for myself and for everybody else.
Donald, you're single, yes?
I am.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. I just have to look in the mirror and consult myself when I
go through bouts of traveling a lot too. And
yeah.
All right. Cool. Have fun.
Related, ladies, we're single. So
this is the last place that I expect to be making connections. So
right. But you know what? That's where we're going to leave it here on episode 53 of the Duke Basketball Report podcast. You can catch us on the forums when we're not doing a podcast. That is, click on the DukeBasketballReport.com and click on the forums, and you will find a lot of us there. It's a great community. If you have not checked it out, please do so. We'll be back sometime after the holiday. We got football coming up soon. So we're going to probably talk about that. And then obviously anything else that is near and dear to us that we need to discuss. But until then, for Jason Evans and for Sam Klein, I'm Donald Wine. Duke Band, take us home. Happy 4th.
It's time to expect more from urgent care, like caregivers who take time to listen, smooth access to local specialty care if you need it, virtual visits and save your spot convenience, plus easy access community locations. And we're open 365 days a year to treat your sprains, cuts, fever, and flu. Northwell Health Go Health Urgent Care. Get more than you expect and exactly what you need. Welcome to a new era in urgent care.